Hi beautiful people, welcome to my channel. I am the creator and owner of Wild Purple Energy Spiritual Health and Wellness blog and online store, coming at you again with another spiritual education video. So today, this is the part 2 to my first video. This is my spiritual perspective on the coronavirus part 2. If you have not watched part 1, please go back and watch that so you will not be lost, okay? Don't be stubborn. Go ahead and check that out so that this video will make really good sense to you. So let me tell you quick what we're going to talk about today. First, I'm going to give you an energy update. My spiritual perspective on the coronavirus part 1 video was filmed about 2 weeks ago, and today is April 13th. So I'm going to give you an energy update on what I am sensing and feeling and what I feel the state of the earth energy is today, and particularly in the United States. That's where I am. And my recommendations for what's going on right now. And then for the last part of the video, I'm going to talk about cosmology. So I promised to to answer the question of why is this happening? People want to know what's going on. Things are very chaotic right now, and people want to know what is the purpose of this coronavirus and why we are having this experience right now. So I am going to give my perspective from a cosmological perspective on why this is happening to our species and our planet at this time. Okay. All right, so on to the energy update. In my last video, as a quick recap, because I really want you to go back and watch the first video, but as a quick recap, I am someone you consider a sensitive. I am a spiritual consultant, also an energy healer, and I make products to help us protect our energy field, our emotional and mental body, so that we can feel good physically and mentally. That's what I do. And a lot of my clients, friends and family have been asking me, for my perspective on everything that's going on. So that is why I created these videos. A couple weeks ago, I talked about in my video that the energy was very dense. There was a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. The public places, particularly indoors, was very, very dense, very yucky energy. And there was a lot of viral energy that was present. I have been able to detect viral and bacteria, really any infectious type of energy and a disease through smell and taste. So I can taste them in the air and whatnot. And a couple of weeks ago when I filmed that video, I'd walk into the grocery store and I just felt like inundated. I just felt like all that kind of gross, kind of pea soupish taste that that viruses, that's how they taste to me. That sick energy was accosting me, and it was just all up in my throat and in my nose and all that. So for the last week, I'm giving you my opinion for the last week, I didn't feel all of that. The energy's lifting a little bit. I don't feel that the viruses, like the viral load, the amount of viruses that are airborne seems less to me. My physical body and my energy body are not having that strong, sharp reaction to being in public places and sensing that viral energy, not like it did before. So it is lifting. Are we out of the woods yet? No. Should you stop taking your precautions that you are taking? No. Are people going to continue to get sick? Yes, they are. Viruses are weird. They hang out in the body, and just because if you are exposed to a virus on Sunday, it doesn't mean that you're going to start having symptoms on Monday. They can manifest. The symptoms can manifest at a later date. Okay, so as I said before, I still maintain that everybody has been exposed to the virus. It's just that not everybody is going to get sick. So that is how I'm feeling about that. Okay, so continue to take your precautions. I do think that things are lifting that are better. I did go out yesterday to admit the energy felt a little thicker than it did like when I went out 4 or 5 days ago. But I think that might be the place that I went, the location that I went. I still feel that it feels good out of doors. 2 weeks ago, even outdoors, I could still sense it, to be honest, but it was thin. I go outside now and I don't really sense too much of anything. And I'm talking about out of doors, being outside, amongst the trees and whatnot. Um, so anyway, keep taking your immune boosting substances. It's not time. I wouldn't put away your elderberry syrup and your vitamin C and your echinacea just yet. Okay, keep on taking them. Continue lifestyle changes. Get some sleep. We've got to stay really hydrated. Be on it. One thing I didn't notice, every time I went out into the public when I wasn't drinking my water the way I should, I felt more yucky. So there is something about um, um, when you're not dehydrated, your vibration is always lower when you're dehydrated, and your body just can't be alkaline. It can't move and do what it needs to do. Your immune system can't respond as well when you're dehydrated. So lots of water. Get outside as much as you can. I feel that it's safe to be outside. Get some sun, walk on the ground, and let's put our devices away. I'm going to do another video about devices, electronic devices, but I've been feeling their energy a little bit more than normal, which is strange. And those devices, your cell phones, your modems, whatever, they do weaken your energy field. And now it's not the time for that. Okay, so unplug for a little while. So a couple of things I've been using, some wild purple energy that might help. I've been testing my own products. I talked about this a little bit before. Of all my product lines, the Detach product line has been the one that has worked the best in keeping the fear energy and that anxiety energy out of my space. This is a Detach essential oil. You have to dilute this first. Do not put this on your skin neat. Okay, anytime you see an oil in a bottle like this, okay, with the dropper, the Euro dropper, that means it's not diluted, so you have to put it in oil or lotion or body butter or something first. We do sell some on Wild Purple Energy, or use what you have at home. This is my wonderful Detach Aura Spray, and I spray it before I go in. Spray it. I really like the scent. It's really relaxing. I spray this of course, over the crown, on the heart, on the stomach. Stay in the space for 60 seconds. Do this before you go into the store, and then do it when you come back to get it off of you. And as always, I've been using this. This is my Smudge spray. It's got white sage essential oil in it, and crystal essences. Of course, I run energy on all my products. The purifying energy. This is great for your house, keeping that fear energy out of your house. I spray my bed and my pillows before I go to sleep. That really helps protect the bed, and it smells good and helps you just kind of relax and get to sleep and not be so worried. Okay. All right, so those were my recommendations, and also y'all keep it up with those salt baths. I do have quite a few posts on my Wild Purple Energy blog that talks about salt bathing and how to use bath salts to purify and protect your energy field and your emotional body as well. So please keep doing that. I've taken my salt baths, y'all. Okay, so now let's move into the why is all of this happening. So from a cosmological perspective, cosmology is the study of the universe. Okay, why are we here? What are these celestial bodies? What are they? What are they doing here? And what do they do? And what happens on them? It's about trying to figure out if there is any universal order. Is there order to the universe, and how does that affect us? So, in my opinion, yes, there is order to the universe. I believe that the universe was birthed out of divine mind, and we are extensions of divine mind. So most religions will teach you that humans are divine beings and that we are extensions of a God. A God source, if you will. So I do believe in a creator who created all things, and that includes any living beings, planets, stars, suns. Well, suns are stars, but and any type of species that you can find on this planet and anywhere else in the universe, and even the dark spaces and the spaces in between spaces. All of these things have purpose. So, what is the purpose of the universe? Why did Divine Mind give birth to all of these creations? Well, in order to experience itself, Divine Mind wanted to experience itself. And so it created little droplets, little mini me's, okay? Small versions of itself who had similar qualities, but just in smaller quantities of power, okay? We're extensions of the creator, but we can't do what the creator can do on the same scale. We can do it on a smaller scale, okay? So I bring that up to help you understand that the creator expands itself by giving birth to creatures like that is likened to itself, and for us to interact together as beings, interacting with each other, interacting with the other celestial bodies, interacting on these other celestial bodies, creating experiences, and then expanding. So all of us have to grow in order to expand, okay? Expanding in consciousness. So that means that all beings have a growth journey or a spiritual journey. So, so let's talk a little bit about the celestial bodies. Let's talk about Earth. We're just going to talk about Earth today because, you know why, of course, we're here. There's one thing that you need to understand about the Earth, okay? The Earth is not some rock that's just floating around in space, okay? There's nothing random about the Earth. The Earth has consciousness, and it is a being. Anything that has consciousness is a being. The Earth does not have a consciousness like we are. She doesn't have personality. She doesn't have an ego. She's not competitive. Nothing like that. But the Earth does have consciousness. The ancients used to worship the Earth as a goddess, and they chose goddess because the Earth better represents the feminine quality of the divine, because of her ability to create and sustain life. So I kind of refer to her as kind of a her or she. So being that the Earth has consciousness, that means that she is a being, and every being has a growth journey because that is the way it is in the universe. All right. So the Earth has her own spiritual journey. I'm going to backtrack for a minute and talk about humans and our journey. Okay. So if you have ever taken psychology or human growth and development course, you know that the human lifespan is separated into different developmental stages. Infant stage, toddler stage, child stage, young adulthood, otherwise known as the teenage years, adulthood, middle age, and then late adulthood, going into the decline, death, and making the transition, okay? Which is generally saying about 100 years is kind of the lifespan of a human being at this time. So as the human being goes, ages, and moves through the different stages of development, there's always the transition from one stage of development into a new stage of development can be kind of rocky. Think about the terrible twos going from infant to toddler stage. Think about, now if anyone has a teenager in the house, when you have a 12 or 13-year-old, like, who are you and what have you done with my baby? We all know that the teenage years can be a challenging transition because once a child becomes a teenager, there's certain actions, beliefs, and behaviors and thought processes and emotional levels that are no longer acceptable in this new stage of development. When we become a teenager and a young adult, we have to start to put away childish things. And human beings have a hard time letting go. We don't like change. We experience that again in middle age when we start to look back at our life and evaluate what we've done, and we have new expectations now, and we have families and jobs and whatnot, and that can be a difficult time for a lot of people. And then moving into the decline stage, where we have to face the fact that we're probably going to be leaving the earth plane. That's another difficult stage for some people. So That comes down to, again, human beings resisting change and not wanting to put away that which was acceptable in the previous stage of development. Okay, now let's move on to Earth's developmental journey, and I'm going to tie that into what's happening right now with the virus and some of the other concerning events that are happening on Earth. Okay. So the Earth also has developmental stages, just like we do. However, ours are more linear. You're young, then you're old, right? The Earth's stages of development are cyclical. Okay, they go in spheres or in cycles. Okay, as most time in the universe tends to be more cyclical. Our agreement is more linear. And so let's talk a little bit about how the Earth and the human journeys are a little bit different. Humans, every 365 days, we move forward 1 unit in measurement. Okay, so age. 1 year of age is 1 unit of measurement for the human being as they move through their lifespan. Okay, for the Earth, about 2,100 years is the equivalent to 1 unit of measurement or age that she moves towards through her stages of development. Okay, so humans, 365 days is 1 year. Earth, about 2,100 years is like the equivalent of 1 human year as far as her growth and development goes. A stage of development for the human, depending on which stage it is, can be a couple years for toddler stage, 10 years child stage, 20 some years adult stage, etc. For the Earth, it's about 25,000 years. It's like a whole stage, and she advances forward in age, 21 years, 21 years, 21 years, 2,100 years, excuse me, and then after 25,000, then she goes into a completely whole new cycle. Okay, so that being said, okay, right now what we are experiencing on Earth is that the Earth is transitioning into a new age and therefore a new stage of her development. And the human's journey and the Earth's journey are intertwined. The Earth's journey affects the human's journey, and the human's journey affects the Earth's journey. So remember what I said about how transitioning from one developmental stage to another is tumultuous and rocky? Well, that's what's happening. The Earth is making her transition, and it is causing a lot of problems for us as humans. Now let's talk about why. So, and this phenomenon is known as the precession of the equinoxes. Go ahead and Google it. There's tons of information. There's a scientific perspective, and then there's like a more mythical, spiritual perspective on it. They're both, honestly, different ways of talking about the same thing. Scientifics have to use a scientific language, and mythicals, we use our spiritual language, but they're two sides of the same coin. Okay, but whatever one that floats your boat, go with that. But so let's talk a little bit about these growing pains. So, and how that comes about. Like, okay, the Earth is going to a new stage of development. Well, how did that happen? Well, how does it happen for a human? For humans, our DNA sends signals to our organs and glands and starts secreting hormones. It tells our joints to grow. It tells our hair to start turning gray. We start creating hormones that we didn't create before, and that's why we have a child. And that suddenly now has got hairs in places where there wasn't any hair before. We got estrogen and testosterone going, and all of a sudden, our young lady or young man is smelling themselves, right? Okay, that is the DNA executing its pre-designed programming to force a human being into the next stage of development. So the body changes, and therefore the consciousness follows suit. The same happens for the Earth. The Earth has her own sort of DNA, but it's more from celestial signals. Now, you can call that God, and that's completely fine with me. That works for me. But either way, it's a manifestation of divine order. So the earth gets her signals, whether it's coming through the sun, because the sun is a portal. In the universe, information travels on light. So there's information coming through the sun. And if you don't believe me, go on NASA's page, Google. There's been solar flares like I don't know, like nobody's business in the last some odd years. The Earth's vibration has changed quite a bit, and you can get a scientific view or a spiritual view. But the Earth vibration is changing as a result of the signals she is getting from, whether you want to say it's from the divine or whether you want to say it's just from divine order, universal order. I'm just going to give an example. When the sun and the Andromeda galaxy sends information through our sun, when Jupiter is in this spot in the sky, and the Saturn is this spot of the sky in this constellation, it signals to Earth that it's time for her to move into her next stage of development. And so she does it. Just like we listen to our DNA, the Earth listens to her signals coming from the celestial bodies or beings, if that's the way you want to put it. So for that reason, the Earth is moving into her next state of consciousness, and in this state of consciousness, her energy is very different. So real quick, the former age that we were in, or really still in, no one knows exactly when the age of Aquarius is going to start. Okay, so I'm not going to get into that in this video. That's a very long discussion. But the Pisces age, there's a certain type of energy that was supported. As you know, that this is a 3D reality here on Earth. We are physically focused. Our senses are physically focused in the third dimensional reality. And under their constellation of Pisces, because every constellation represents a certain type of energy that the Earth experiences, and that we as her, as spiritual beings who live on her body also experience. And Pisces was about duality. As you know, the signal for the age of Pisces, for the constellation Pisces, the astrological sign is two fishes going in. Well, you get the point. There we go. In two different directions, signaling the dualistic nature of Pisces. So that was one of the reasons why Jesus is referred to as the fish, because he came about at the very beginning of the Piscean age. But so Pisces, duality and separations were themes. Separations from your God self, okay? Separations of the human's higher self and lower self was supported just fine. If you don't want to admit that you're a divine being or don't want to know about it, the energy supported that. That was your choice, no problem. Duality as far as dark and light, okay? And supporting darkness and light somewhat equally. I know you all don't want to hear that, but there's truth in that, okay? There is some support for both streams of energy and levels of consciousness. And there was also a lot of mystery, the subconscious mind. Pisces can represent the subconscious mind, unlimited potential, creativity. I mean, think about the art and the music and the structures that were created under Pisces. I mean, mad creativity, which is beautiful. But there's also a lot of darkness, a lot of mystery, a lot of what's going on over here you don't know about over there, etc., etc. And as a result of that, the darkness had a very good run. And darkness just means selfishness, okay? It's all about me and mine. I don't give a rip about you. That's really all darkness is. It's just selfishness, okay? So that was Pisces. Now, Aquarius. The best word I can give you as a theme for Aquarian energy is oneness, okay? Connectedness, having empathy for your fellow man, love, okay? Christ consciousness. And for those of you who are Christians, there's this great belief, well, Jesus is going to come back. I argue that it's Christ consciousness that is coming back, and that Jesus represented that consciousness back in the beginning of Pisces. And now that Christ consciousness is coming back through any human being that wants to hold it, that's the real return of Jesus. But that's a whole other video, okay? So it's true, but not maybe in the form that people were thinking. And it's available to anybody. It has nothing to do with religion. Trust me, there's an equivalent story or a different being that represents Christ consciousness in all the other religions as well. So this is not a particular plug for Christianity or anything like that. It's just that is the religion that I am the most familiar with because that's what I grew up with. Okay. So anyway, so that Christ consciousness, which is really just oneness or love energy, is going to be more dominant in Aquarius. And it's more about, caring about your brother, caring about your planet, caring about each other, and moving into higher state of consciousness. I have a great blog post on consciousness. I believe that to move forward in consciousness means to move forward in love, power, and wisdom. Check that out. It's one of my very first posts on my blog. So check there. I will do a video on it in the future. Okay. So that's what we're looking at in Aquarius. So now, if you could look at the age of Aquarius as our teenage years, and of a human teenage years, okay, or stage, and Aquarius as an adult stage, then that means that now is the time for us to put away childish things, okay? The reason why we're having chaos on Earth right now is because human beings are resisting where the Earth is going. The Earth's energy is changing to reflect what some have chosen to call a more fifth dimensional type experience. And that's a little bit about what some of the holy books are talking about too, when they're talking about revelations and the end of the world. This is the revelation time. This is the end time, but it's not the end of the world. You also calm down. It is not the end of the world, but it is the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of an age. It's the end of thoughts and beliefs, events, activities, and more particularly structures that were acceptable during this older stage of development, which are out of alignment with the new Earth energy that is present, and therefore they are going to fall. So now, the coronavirus. The coronavirus is just a manifestation of the growth pains that we are experiencing in transitioning from our old stage of development into the new one. That's it. And the coronavirus is a very unfortunate, chaotic event. But there are many. We've experienced so much. A couple of years ago, we had all these crazy mass shootings. War, genocides happening in the Middle East, abject poverty, starvation in Africa and some parts of Asia, deforestation, in the South and South America. We've had all these problems, at our borders, and really powerful nations, committing just very irresponsible, very unloving crimes against humanity that were from other countries. There has been the financial chaos. Look at our government. The American government can't get themselves together for nothing. What's going on in Capitol Hill? They can't come together on anything. It's a circus. Is it not a circus? What's happening in our healthcare system? Look at all these companies going out of business. There's all kinds of craziness happening. And the coronavirus is a manifestation of that. Now, some people, there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there saying that, the global elite are trying to get rid and prune the population, and they're trying to depopulate the earth and all that. And I'm not prepared to say if that's true or not true. It could be. But I think that the method is not as important as the purpose. And whether globalists creating a virus in a lab and letting it out on people, or whether it was something that happened naturally. I don't believe that, but I can't confirm it. That doesn't matter as much as why it's happening, and it's happening for a couple of reasons. So let's talk about, we talked about the negative aspects of the coronavirus, which is obviously our economy going down and people's health are in jeopardy and people making their transition. But there's also an opportunity, there's a growth opportunity. So what is the coronavirus telling us? One, it's telling us that we need to improve our health, okay? Our healthcare system is not going to recover from this as well as you think it is going to. Like I said before, there's the systems, healthcare, government, education, okay, banking, okay, that was created in Pisces. They were created to benefit a few at the expense of the many. All of them were. Yes, even education. This is true, unfortunately, but there's truth to it. So that ain't gonna fly in Aquarius, okay? This new age is about oneness and love. So how are structures that only benefit 2% of the population hurt everyone else, or at least leave the middle in stagnancy? How is that system going to thrive in this new age? It's not. We're adults now. We have to grow up. So, so the earth. Now let's talk about energy for a minute, okay? There again, there's going to be thoughts, feelings, behaviors, actions, and systems that are going to line up with love energy and brotherhood and oneness, and not going to line up. That they're going to line up with selfishness. That's a part of our teenage egoic years, okay? So that's what we're seeing. So the earth is withdrawing her support from everything that is no longer in alignment with where she is going. So that means if your government is not really working to really help the people and all people, if it's unfair, then the earth is withdrawing its energy. The divine as well, okay, is withdrawing its support. It doesn't mean it's trying to make it fall. It's just withdrawing its support. And anytime you take away energy from something, it starts to wither and die, right? So we're seeing some systematic withering and dying. And our healthcare system is one of those systems, although, y'all, please send your love and your prayers to all of our healthcare workers. They really and truly are heroes. The love and that I'm feeling from them and their dedication to helping their fellow man is a miracle. It's truly remarkable. And despite these wonderful people that work in our healthcare system, our healthcare system has some issues and some problems, and that's because it was created during a time where there was greed and selfishness and some other things that were weaved into that system that are also not going to stand in the new age that we're going to. We're going to a place where we have to start taking responsibility for ourselves, and that includes our health. It's not our government or our healthcare system's sole responsibility to keep us healthy. The responsibility lies with us first. We're ground zero. So it's telling us to improve our health, eating better, boosting our immune system, making sure we're getting sleep, managing our stress, and managing our fears. It's telling us to improve, this virus is telling us to improve our emotional state. I will talk about this more later, but emotional issues, particularly those that are not digested, that are stuffed down and not dealt with, will manifest as physical disease in the body at some point. Okay, so there is a connection between emotional dis-ease and physical disease. That is something that, so the earth is giving us opportunity to kind of get cleaned up emotionally. So the last thing I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to get out of here, and I'm going to do another video on this. Spirit asked me to talk about the death process. We are going to be seeing a little more death than what we're used to. And the coronavirus is playing a role in that. So please understand that it's the soul level, not the you and me level, not the human level, but the higher part of ourselves, the soul level, does decide when to make the transition. And it's like the corona, I think that this has happened before in our development with the bubonic plague and some other plagues, where there's having plagues when you go from one age into the other has happened on earth plenty of times, and it will happen again when this happens all over again in the next 2100 years. But a plague to me is like, this coronavirus is like an invisible train that flows, travels through the ethers in the night when we're all sleeping. And it's like, toot toot, does anybody want to get on the train? It's kind of like its own little grim reaper, but it's not grim, and it's not a being, wearing black with a hatchet. I don't know who came up with that mess. But it's like toot toot, and it's giving people an opportunity. You see, there are some people that don't want to grow. They don't want to go into oneness. They just have resistance. They're tied into the old ways. They don't want to work on themselves. They don't want to do any emotional work. They don't want to change their eating habits. They don't want to stop striving for money and cards and focusing on the more simpler ways of life, because they don't want to give that up. So that train coming in the night is like that little poke. Hey man, Earth is changing. Things are changing. You're going to have to do some work on yourself. You know, you're going to see some things that are going to upset you. It's going to be a little chaotic. What do you want to do? Do you want to stay? Or do you think you're ready to go? And some people are going to say, you know, I'm ready to go. I don't want to be here for this. It's not happening. I haven't set up my life in a way for me to grow, and I don't want to fight through the resistance. So for those souls that don't want to grow, and for those souls who are already tired, a little tired, they are going to go ahead and jump on that train, and you know, a couple weeks later, they'll get sick, right? And they'll use the coronavirus as their means for making their transition. So in a weird way, this horrible virus is also it's also grace. It's an opportunity for all of us, for those who don't want to grow, to go ahead and move on, and that is okay. That is an okay choice to make. Again, this is a choice that is made with the higher mind, okay, at the soul level, with the consult of one's God self, with the consult of one's guides and angels. But so this is an opportunity for people who don't want to transition, who don't want to go through the economy, who don't want to go through things crashing down, for them to go ahead and leave, and that's okay. But for those of us who are not wanting to make their transition, it's an opportunity for us to focus on taking responsibility for our own health. That is the key. Okay, we have to get educated. The hospitals are not, the system's not going to bounce back completely. You know, there are a lot of people now, after how we have treated our doctors and nurses and medical assistants, how we've treated them, not giving them the protective gear that they need. You know, a lot of people are a little deterred from going into the medical field. We already have a shortage of workers. There's too many people sick for how many healthcare providers we had. That was issued before Corona. You don't think that's going to make a difference? So it's time for us to start learning how to take care of ourselves, so we don't have to access that system as much, because there could be a time where that system won't be there for you the way that you need it to. So take responsibility for your health, y'all, while you still have a choice to do that. While you still have a choice to do that. So the earth is purifying herself of everything that is Piscean, or from her last developmental stage. So we're going to start seeing some breakdown, okay? But you don't have to break down. Manage your fear. You know, if you've been needing to see that therapist, now's the time, okay? If you need an energy healing, which, well, everybody needs energy healing, book a session with an energy healer near you. I'm not doing distance healings at the moment. I'll let you know. I do spiritual consultations if you want me to read for you or talk to you. I do have psychology in my background. I have a spiritual counseling certificate, and I can talk to my guides and help you through some issues. If you'd like to book a session, you can under services tab on my blog, or go to someone locally in your area. Let's start taking some salt baths, guides, you know, a couple days a week, doing some meditations, going outside. We have to start taking care of ourselves and taking care of our health. So I think I have said enough. I hope that this information was helpful for you. Please, again, visit wildpurpleenergy.com. Check out the blog. Check out some products. And I will see you in my next video. Now, y'all, stay safe. Peace and blessings. Till next time. Bye-bye.